excited to talk and getting goosebumps because it's... No, I am, like you can see.
Not the air conditioning.
I'm getting goosebumps because as a doctor, this is quite an emotional experience to be a part of this. The book is just amazing. For everybody, there's something in it for you. Whether you're reading it as a relative or a friend, if you're reading it as a patient or a person who's got an unusual condition or is having some sort of confrontation with the health system or some sort of complication. From my perspective, if you read it as a clinician, as a doctor, to me the book is confronting. That's the way I describe it. That's the one word that I use. It's confronting. If this was a report card on our healthcare system, it's a fail. Big time. I think in Australia we've got an amazing healthcare system, both public and private. I've worked in many areas around the world. I've seen many healthcare systems, and ours is world class. I mean, we're excellent. But even though we deliver care really well in the vast majority, people slip through the cracks. They slip through the cracks for all different sorts of reasons. They slip through the cracks because they're a diagnostic dilemma. We can't work out what it is. They slip through the cracks because they've got something that we don't have the technology to treat, we don't have the capability or capacity to. They slip through the cracks because of our own deficiencies. The way in which we cognitively deal with problems and with people, and the way in which we interact with others and hold ourselves in terms of humility sometimes gets in the way of good management. Denaz has articulated all of those in this book, through her journey in the healthcare system, all the way through from her teenage years, which actually I was actually completely unaware of when I first got involved. There's actually a huge backstory behind her interaction with me that I had literally no awareness of. But through looking at that journey and the journey that she took once I had started to get involved, it was really apparent that we as a healthcare profession had failed her. And that's confronting. But she writes in such a beautiful way. She writes with dignity. She doesn't write with spite or malice. She doesn't write with a bone to pick or a agenda. She just writes as a person who's going through the difficulties, who's trying to seek help and looking for all of the ways in which she can navigate through a complex problem. And it's inspiring to read and to see someone who's had so much, almost you would describe injustice dealt upon them, yet can stand tall and to ignore that to some degree, acknowledge it, and to move on to what is really important, which is the end outcome. And the end outcome is one of those fairy tales which actually has worked out pretty damn well, which is good. It's the sort of book that I read and it reminds me to stay humble in my profession, that I don't know everything and that I try as best as I can. I'm technically gifted at what I do, but there are things that I'm not very good at or I don't understand. There's the unknown. There's people with conditions that actually I can't diagnose and I actually don't know where to go. People don't fit into boxes all the time, and we're good at that. We're good at pattern recognition. As soon as somebody goes outside of the pattern, then we're lost. We're sort of at our knees. As clinicians, we sort of deal with that in different ways. If we have a person that comes to us with really odd symptoms, with a weird story, it doesn't fit inside the box very well. You know, we could label them as crazy. Actually, some people are, but then there are some people who are very genuine in their quest to be able to get better, and it's up to us to listen, and it's up to us to be able to help them. Even if it's not in our area of expertise, it's up to us to be able to listen. And I think that once you've read Denaz's book, you'll sort of see that that's been missed by lots of people on the journey. We've dealt with the odd symptoms, the diagnostic uncertainty, the lack of appreciation of our own humility has been reflected in this quite a lot. For Denaz to be so forgiving of that, of us, is amazing. It's really amazing. She's a really good example about how a patient would ideally interact with their doctors. So my interaction with Denaz is sort of really, it's one of those fortuitous sort of odd coincidences. So I actually have very, very little expertise in her problem. at all. I'm a hip surgeon, and pretty much all I do is hips. That's all I do. And I had a patient one day who we did a hip replacement on, and she woke up and she couldn't move her thumb. That's all she couldn't do. She just couldn't bend her thumb. I could straighten it, but couldn't bend. It sort of racked my brains about that. There was no sensory disturbance. I couldn't detect that there was a tendon rupture. She didn't have any of the other signs that would be associated with a typical neurologic injury. It just didn't fit a pattern. It was weird. It just didn't fit. I had no explanation for it. And I tried to look for an explanation. We sent off for all the tests, neurologists, nerve conduction studies, and MRIs. I got to the point where I sort of made a hunch. I said, the person has probably got an anatomic irregularity in their forearm of a band of scar tissue that when they hold their hand in a certain way, it compressed the nerve, and they were in that position for the period of an hour and a half during the hip replacement, caused one branch of it to become compressed that would defunction the thumb. It was such a weird case that with the anaesthetist's permission, I said, let's write this up. We've never seen this, we've never heard of it, we've got no explanation. So let's write it up because, you never know, somebody will find this information one day and they'll find it useful. Now that's what we in the medical profession would call ultra low value research. One patient, a single patient, no others, with us writing a theory about what we thought might have happened but we can't conclude, and that's our story. Most journals would actually say, well, that's completely non-publishable. It's of no scientific value or merit. Nonetheless, we found somewhere that would publish it. But, to me, the thing is that journals and publications are about communication. They're a method of us as doctors being able to communicate one to another. So if I see something that's really rare, something that's really odd, a little bit strange, isn't a journal the right place to communicate that? How do I broadcast it to the world? How do I broadcast it for others in my profession to say, here's something that's really strange, here's something that we've never seen before. How about the next person that finds this, references this, and we might get a series. We might work it out. Now, so far, I actually don't know whether that's ever happened, except for one person. She's here. So that's how I got involved. Trawling through the internet, trying to find a doctor that would actually listen to her. She comes across a paper that's written by a hip surgeon about a complication that he can't explain. And the answer back is strange things happen, and ultimately culminating to the end result that the decompression was in fact successful and the thumb works. To me, that's a really good illustration where what might be considered as ultra low value research and ultra low non-publishable data on a sort of a hierarchical medical scale, in fact, maybe we've got it wrong. And we do have to flesh out our inadequacies. For the anaesthetist, for instance, whose job it is to position the arm during my hip replacement surgery, that's actually pretty confronting. He's fleshing out that actually there's been a complication under his care that we actually don't understand. Yet he was happy to be able to say, listen, we've made a mistake here, and let's broadcast that to the world. We don't have all the answers, but maybe in fact we've got to eat a little bit of humble pie every once in a while. And that's what, to me as a clinician, that's what this book's about. It's the sort of book that I think keeps us honest. But I think also it's the sort of book that I would like to be able to deliver to future generations of doctors. That's the key. That's the value. The value of this book is that we can't teach the human side of medicine well in a university. We can't teach humility. We can't teach these things, but you can learn it through the eyes of the journey of someone like Max. I hope you all enjoy reading it because I think it's a really